Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Selena's art exhibit. We're glad you can join us. Our main artist for tonight is a distinguished woman whose work speaks for itself and needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our very own lovely Selena.
Thank you everyone for the warm welcome. Here is a piece I did a few years back. I named it If Coals Could Sing. A bright yellow canary bird is trapped inside a dark coal mine next to a small plant shooting out of concrete rubbles. The main idea behind this piece is to find something beautiful out of tragedy and pain. This is contrary and often not encouraged in our days where doom and gloom seem to overtake the minds of the culture. I tried to visually capture that with the bright yellow color against a very dark background. By employing radial balance and symmetry, the viewers are drawn towards the main focal point of the bird singing in the middle of turmoil. My inspiration for this piece is drawn from multiple influences. I don't need to remind anyone here that when we look at our world today, it can be very depressing. Yes, times are indeed hard, and when hopelessness sets in, it can be overwhelming. It's a crippling sensation when we do not know what to do next. That deep sadness is all but a natural emotional response we go through to the things that are happening inside us. We're not robots incapable of responding to external stimuli and human emotions. Thank God for these emotions that allow us to express ourselves or will burst out of ourselves like a water balloon. Emotions are never meant to be contained. As much as we can, we should try to make connections with those who want to share that same sense of wonder with us. Although some people have managed to suppress their feelings, quite frankly, you don't want to come to a point that towards the end of your life, you look back at the moments you were given a chance and regret that you didn't say you love that one person whom you truly care about.
She can speak her thoughts very well. It's almost like she's reading minds.
Secrets like this oftentimes will come to haunt our thoughts in the future. To some extent, that is what the bird in the artwork represents. These unexplained, deeper things that are hard to express by words alone. Certain degrees of healing happen once we let people say what they need to say. It allows them to feel heard and be given the dignity of respect as a human being. Even though at times we may not like what they have to say, at least the opportunity to allow them to voice their thoughts is in of itself a step towards progress. Try living in other parts of the world with more suppressive government, and you'll find yourself squashed in a whack-a-mole game where the goal is equal misery for everyone. And when an individual tries to come up to the surface, that person gets smacked down by the almighty hands of the state dictator and corrupt media. When everybody fails and nobody succeeds, how does anyone expect to thrive in a toxic environment where innovation and ideas are squashed even before it has time to sprout? Unless that is the goal. Unfortunately, when we look at histories of the past, I'm sure you've heard this expression before, those who don't learn from history are often doomed to repeat itself. It's a beautiful thing that we're allowed to express a wide range of ideas and varieties of mediums of expression. Part of that experiment comes with stories of people who tried and succeeded, and some unfortunately failed. The good thing is, we can learn from both. We can learn so much more from each other's experiences, what works and what doesn't. Learn from the confidence of the strong, and learn to give grace and compassion towards those who can't fend for themselves. If we look at the world as it is, nobody is going to deny that it can be very ugly, smelly, gray, and dark, just like being trapped inside a stinking coal mine. Nothing against coal miners. On a side note, people who do dirty jobs don't get enough appreciation and respect that they deserve. It takes a different mindset to get up every day and take care of literally someone else's garbage. So I salute them. I believe that in a thriving society, people who do dirty jobs that run our country also need guidance from people who can think outside the perimeter of basic guidelines and instructions. The goal of my art exhibition is to bring awareness that even though the themes for my art pieces are grounded in reality, I wanted to point out the possibility that there are several ways of looking at what that reality is about in its context. Most of the time, our perception of reality is constrained by our belief system, levels of education, economic status, ethnic background, histories, and all sorts of variables that make us look at things and this world differently. We could be looking at the same evidence, but each person will be examining it from a different focal lens and point of view. With the way things are right now, it is just a matter of who amplifies their voice the loudest that gets to influence the most minds. And, unfortunately, bad ideas tend to dominate the unregulated arena. Who determines what's bad and what's not? If we solely base it on a matter of opinion, the aftermath and consequences should be the gauge that dictates whether an idea is good or not. Is the person, community, or nation affected by this idea soaring high because it's good, or is it crashing to the ground because it's bad? The weight and substance of an argument should be the main thing that needs to be examined, and not on any irrelevant personal factors that have nothing to do with the matter that's being discussed. Just like when I create artwork, I explore different options, and when I run into difficulties, I try to pivot and improve my thinking and execution as I move along. We should not make any decisions or conclusions based on popularity or convenience, but rather take all things into account and weigh all variables and the best options for consideration. Personally, an open and civil dialogue that will allow us to bridge those gaps in between that will give us a clear picture is worth exploring and provide more opportunities for growth and learning. There are limitations to what my brushstrokes can reveal, and if we dig deep enough, there are more stories that begin to unravel when we choose to observe and look beyond the colors and patterns of the paint on the canvas. Thank you all for coming and for your support. Please feel free to browse around the art exhibit. For anyone who would like to speak to me after, I will be back at the table next to the souvenir display. Thank you.
Hi Selena, how's it going? My name is AJ.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I don't know if you remember me, but we were in the same art class several years ago with Miss Athena. You probably don't recognize me anymore, or I cut my hair short.
Oh yeah, I remember. The loner kid who always sits in one corner all the time with his guitar. Do you still play music?
Yeah, I still do. Not as much as I would like to, but I'm slowly trying to get back into it. It's hard. I've got a lot going on in my brain that makes it hard to get into the zone. It's like being entangled in a spaghetti of stuff and suddenly you catch yourself crossing a tightrope between your stomach and your dreams. I don't know if that makes any sense. By the way, congratulations on your art show. It's cool how the way you presented your exhibit. I think people dig that kind of stuff. I certainly did. I'm glad there's one of us who chooses to pursue what they've studied in school.
To be honest, art isn't something I choose. It chose me. It's a lifestyle. It's dabble in once in a while. It's a way for me to think, a way that I relate to people and my surroundings. I don't know about your religion or spirituality, but I believe in a creator God, and this is one of the ways he reveals himself to me, through art and creativity.
That right there is what makes you, you. That's the Selena I always remembered. No wonder Miss Athena speaks highly of you and your work. With the way you carry yourself, I may just become a believer myself. I'm open to anything. Is there a God and life after death? I sure would love to think so.
Don't think so. Know so. You can personally know him. He revealed himself to us, and his love is not a secret to anyone. When he died at the cross for the sins of this world, God granted eternal life to those who would believe in him. I think there's so much beauty in that unconditional love. His resurrection is a testament to his true power that nobody else can replicate. His words are poetry to me, strong and firm to crush rebels, but yet gentle enough to glide on feathers. His words of love, justice, mercy, and compassion are eternal truths that people with spiritual hunger need to hear the most to fill that deep void in their hearts. It's very rare nowadays to find that type of commitment, someone who would be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for their belief. In contrast to the world system, you and I know our world is filled with selfish people. That includes you and me. Since you keep mentioning food, try this the next time you go out with your friends. Ask one of them if you can grab a box of their French fries. Will the majority of them share willingly? Or will most of them smack your hands and yell, "That's mine! Go get your own"? It sounds simplistic, but the same sentiment can be applied to the way our nation handles resources. It has nothing to do with communism or capitalism, but just a simplified way of exposing how depraved humanity can get. That even a simple gesture of sharing something so small and trivial like French fries or a few dollars to someone who doesn't have much is so foreign to a lot of people.
I love French fries. I didn't realize you're that deep into Christianity since we've seen each other. Most artsy people I've met are space cadets of pseudo-intellectualism. You don't seem like you went that route.
What can I say? I'm not your typical artsy person. Unfortunately, the enemy is so successful in hijacking the arts and creativity and the majority of the pillars of influence of our society. Most people would claim that their creativity is derived from dark forces, and there certainly are dark forces at work that opposes the light of God. This opposing dark force is a lie, and only a mere illusion and tactic that the enemy has used to blind people's eyes to deny where they get their true source of art and creativity from the Creator God. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a divine characteristic that a lot of musicians and artists possess, much like the scientists and mathematicians of the past. If you examine throughout world histories, libraries of books, architecture, music, and the majority of other art endeavors have been written and drawn from divine inspiration. It is a lifelong endeavor that allows them access to the spirit world that also sometimes allows them to tap into the realm of the divine. That might sound new age to people, but I don't care. The reality of the spiritual world and physical world was written in the Bible thousands of years even before man attempted to study the nature of reality.
Here I am just trying to figure out where my next meal is. I don't know if my stomach will allow me to think that deep or high. My life has been a roller coaster ride, and a little stability would be nice. Do you think this Creator God would care enough for a nobody like me? What about you? You certainly have changed. Weren't you used to be called drunken fish, party animal, and all these crazy labels your girlfriends came up with? I noticed your style of artwork has changed a lot too since our art school days. I remember you were obsessed with Van Gogh and Norman Rockwell. Now it seems like you're incorporating a lot of Jackson Pollock and some Warhol pop art and more contemporary influences.
Well, if you can recall from what our design teacher, Ms. Athena, would often highlight in class, our style is derived from the accumulation of different influences of the past. It is like a journey. And that's what I've been doing since. I'm constantly learning new things and trying out new ways to create and innovate new concepts and ideas. Meeting new people, talking to them, learning from their insights, and I allow these experiences to simmer inside my brain until it's cooked and finally ready for seasoning. Change is always a good thing if it's for the better. Concepts like darkness to light and death to life may seem like abstract concepts, but when applied to our day-to-day lives, we're moving more toward how God intended and designed us to live, that even pain and suffering can have a purpose even if we don't understand it. Perhaps we'll never know what empathy and compassion are unless we go through hardships ourselves. And yes, my Creator God cares about you and me and all sinful human beings who humbly acknowledge that we're dead to sin and can't save ourselves from damnation. God, in His love and mercy, made a way for salvation through Jesus Christ.
That's awesome. I wish I could think like you. I don't want to take much of your time. I'm sure other people here would still want to talk to you. I know this might be a stretch, but I would like for us to continue our conversation. If you're free tomorrow, it would be cool if you could stop by and check out my band. We're opening for a local band called Reminiscus down at the Memento Bar and Grill. Here, check it out.
El Chico Amante? That's the name of your band? You don't look Latino.
The eyes give it away, huh? Well, my Brazilian brothers adopted me, so I'm one of their hermanos now, you know what I'm saying?
No, not really. But whatever floats your boat. I'll try to be there.
Okay, cool. It's great to see you again. Check mic test. Is this on? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here. I hope you all are enjoying your delicious food. The first song on our set for tonight is called Secretly in Love. I wrote this song for someone special to my heart. before we went our separate ways several years ago. I don't know why, but the last time we said our goodbyes, it devastated me. Nobody knew this deep pain I was going through inside except my cat, who did not care at all even for one bit. Even though I only spent a few semesters with this special lady, I'm fascinated with the way she carries herself. There's something about the way that she talks, the way she thinks, and the way she interacts with people that makes me want to know her more. I just didn't have the guts to tell her at that time how much she meant to me and that I still think about her. She once said that we should not live our lives with regrets, and that we should tell the person that we care about whenever we get a chance that we love them, because we don't know if we'll ever cross paths with them again. She could be here tonight with us in the audience, so if you're here, I hope that you're listening. By the way, before we begin this set, I'd like to shout out to my hermanos, Juan on drums, Pedro on keys, Jaime on guitar, and Pablo on bass. My name is AJ, and we're a band called El Chico Amante.
I can't help myself. I'm falling for you. told you